So as we get you our special coverage here from outside the NIA headquarters, it's here that Tahabur Hussain Rana will be brought and kept here in a lockdown facility that we'll get you details of. But first, the big news break coming in. When will Tahabur Rana be brought down to India? In about 20 minutes from now, at 6:22 p.m. is when that special aircraft with the terrorists and with our Indian security officials will be touching down on Indian soil, will be touching down in Delhi. That's the big news break coming in. Confirmation that you're hearing first here on India Today, that at 6:22 p.m. is when the flight will land at the Palam Technical Airport. We can also tell you that right now where I am at the NIA headquarters, the entire area has been barricaded off. There's a sea of security that's been deployed and it's been completely closed off. No vehicles are being allowed to fly in any of these areas. And I already see an additional layer of security being deployed here, suggesting that we're getting closer to the time of the convoy bringing Tahabur Rana. There's going to be minimal movement. You also don't, at this point, we're not going to expect that there will be images really of Tahabur Rana in transit, because it's going to be a smooth operation. There's very, very secretive, in fact, movement at this point. They're not giving us details of where Rana could be taken. Will he be taken to court tomorrow? None of that being divulged for obvious security reasons. But we will be getting you the details of when Rana touches down and much more. I have with me on this broadcast Shivani Sharma. We also have our reporters joining us from the Palam International Airport. Amit Bharadwaj is there. Nalini Sharma is joining us live from the special NIA court. Gaurav Sawant, who was covering the 26/11 attacks and subsequently the trial in Chicago, is also with us in the studio. Shivani, I'll just quickly come across to you first for that update. We're hearing Tahabur Rana is expected to land at exactly 6:22 p.m., 19 minutes from now.
Akshita, there's a big news break from India Today that Tahabur Rana's flight will be landing at 6:22 p.m. at the ARC in Palam Air Base. And this is a United States aircraft, a Gulfstream aircraft that will be landing here in some time from now, from where he will be brought to the NIA headquarters. This is the NIA headquarters where we are standing right now, Akshita, and all the preparations have been done. But the big news is that at 6:22, the aircraft is scheduled to arrive at the ARC at the Palam Air Base. This is a United States aircraft, a Gulfstream aircraft that has been deployed for this particular mission of extraditing Tahabur Rana along with the NIA officials, who will be shortly landing in Delhi. And then Tahabur Rana will be placed formally under arrest by the NIA. The medical will be done. He will be brought to the NIA headquarters and the proceedings will further come into action. Akshita.
Okay, so you can expect those formalities to be kicked in even once he reaches the Palam airport. There are going to be a slew of formalities that will kick off, including the formal arrest of Tahabur Rana before he's brought here to the NIA headquarters. Surprisingly, in Delhi, of course, we've seen a dust storm. Now it's starting to rain as well amid the summer heat. But we're going to be staying solid, getting you those updates. Let me bring in Amit Bharadwaj, who's joining us live from the Palam airport. Amit, you've been camping from early morning there. What kind of movement are you seeing around you? Can you also detail for us the formalities that will take place once Tahabur Rana lands there at the Palam airport just about 15 minutes from now?
Akshata, it's become a little stormy out here, possibly also indicating what's awaited in a few minutes from now. Tahabur Rana will be landing on the Indian soil in the Indian Delhi airport facility. And after that, what you will see is the process, the legal process will be followed up. So the moment he lands on the Indian soil, even though the NIA team has been accompanying him, extraditing him from US to India, what will happen is that National Investigative Agency's personnel will put him under arrest. So that formal arrest will happen the moment he lands in India, and then there will be series of paperwork that needs to be done, because remember, this is not a regular arrest that you have on Indian soil, rather a person which has been extradited with a lot of effort and diplomatic maneuvers between India and US, and eventually he's landing in India. He will be arrested today, so it has to be the SOP needs to be followed up. So once that paperwork is done, the phase 2 of the entire mission, and the most important one for the day, needs to be executed seamless, for which since morning we have seen, since yesterday we have seen all the agencies which have to work in tandem. They have been holding meetings and executing each part of it. The pre-planning has been already done. That is the transportation phase. Phase 2 will have transportation in armored vehicle with SWAT commandos around that armored vehicle. Tahabur Rana will be transported to an NIA facility, and thereon the legal process will begin. But before that, the medical also needs to be done. So India wants to, maintain every paperwork and develop
so those formalities will start moving forward. Let me just quickly bring in Gaurav Sawant also on this, who's very, very familiar with these protocols, with these processes that usually follow soon after an extradition. So while you'll see the arrest also taking place, Gaurav, formal arrest by the NIA once Tahabur Rana touches down on Indian soil, the NIA judge in Delhi has also received the 2611 case files. There's a big fat dossier prepared right now by officials against Tahabur Rana as well.
The fact that the extradition has happened is an indicator that India has a mountain of evidence. And G.K. Pillai, former Home Secretary, he said India has enough evidence to convict him, and he believes that there is enough evidence even to hang him for his alleged role in the 2611 Mumbai terror attacks. Now, this is very serious. I covered that case in Chicago. I covered the 2611 Mumbai terror attacks and the entire trial of Ajmal Amir Kasab, including his conviction and subsequently hanging in Maharashtra. So there are a couple of things that come out very clearly. When Kasab and 9 other Pakistani terrorists were carrying out this terror attack, Akshita, this man, Tahabur Hussain Rana, was watching it on television and celebrating it. There was a party. He celebrated and said all these 10 gentlemen deserve Pakistan's highest award for bleeding India. So that is his mindset. And it's not just his mindset. Whether it's an illiterate Ajmal Amir Kasab or a highly trained doctor like Tahabur Hussain Rana, it is this mindset of Ghazwa-e-Hind or bleeding India. Through 1,000 cuts that Pakistan's ISI uses these elements to bleed our country. And they've done it in the past. They tried it subsequently because there was no response. I would also like to draw your attention to India's counter-strike at Balakot in 2019 after Pulwama. Following that, if you notice, except Jammu and Kashmir, we haven't had a terror attack across the length and breadth of our country because they've realized their dream of Ghazwa-e-Hind stops at Hindustan when Hindustan strikes back.
Okay. Can I just bring our viewers' attention to the latest news break coming in? And Gaurav, do stay with me. We've got details really of the flight in which Tahabur Rana is being brought to India. Shivani had told us about this, that Tahabur Rana is being brought on a special aircraft, which is a Gulfstream. The call sign AOJ 96M. The flight is scheduled to land at 6:22 p.m. It will land at the Palam Technical Airport, a high-security airport also reserved, of course, for VIP movement. It's here at the Palam Airport that this flight will touch down. This is a Gulfstream, call sign AOJ 96M, that's currently making its way to the Delhi airport. So in just about 12 minutes from now, at 6:22 p.m. dot, is when this special aircraft will touch down in Delhi. Remember that the entire extradition process has been very hush-hush. We didn't know where the aircraft made its pit stop for refueling and rest. We don't know about the officials on board accompanying Tahabur Rana. All that's been told to us is that there is a team of multi-security agencies of India present, including the NIA. But beyond that, very basic details given because of how sensitive this operation is. Real time is being tracked by intel teams here in India and in America, where the extradition process had kicked off from Los Angeles. Shivani is getting us those details. Shivani, you did tell us about the aircraft in which Tahabur Rana is traveling in. Any additional details that you've been able to pick up of who's been escorting Rana from Los Angeles all the way here to Delhi?
See, there are NIA officials on board, there are IB officials on board, there is Tahavvur Rana, of course, and this is being done in coordination with the agencies of United States, and this is a big operation between India and United States. Is being coordinated by both the countries together, and shortly this aircraft will be landing at the Aviation Research Center of Palam Air Base. This is a US aircraft, the Gulfstream aircraft that we have got to know through our sources. This will be landing shortly at Palam, and thereafter it will be going into the hangar of the Aviation Research Center there at Palam. And after all the formalities are done, Akshita, there will be, of course, many checks that will be happening there. There might be a medical test of Tahavvur Rana as soon as he lands at Delhi. And then after all the formalities, he can be placed under arrest formally at the on the Indian soil by NIA. And then he will be moved to the NIA headquarters. That's what we know. All the security has been beefed up out here at the NIA headquarters. There are barricades that have been put at place since morning. Additional forces are on standby here at since 7 a.m.
Shivani, my apologies for interrupting, but more details that are emerging, you know, on that aircraft in which Tahavvur Rana is travelling. We are getting you those updates. We can confirm to you that he is being brought to New Delhi in a super mid-sized business jet. This aircraft was hired, in fact, from a Vienna-based aircraft charter service. It took off from Miami in the US. Details emerging of the time as well. It took off from Miami in the US on Wednesday, 2:15 a.m. local time. So in the dead of the night is when, in fact, this flight took off. It reached, in fact, in Romania at 7 p.m. local time. In Bucharest is where the mid-stop was, that pit stop, where, in fact, you saw the refueling taking place and a brief rest stop. That took place in Romania at 7 p.m. local time. And after almost 11 hours of break, it took off for New Delhi at 6:15 a.m. local time on Thursday. This is a Gulfstream G550. It's an ultra long-range mid-sized jet manufactured by Gulfstream. And this is, in fact, the aircraft that's bringing Tahavvur Rana back. It can carry a maximum of 19 passengers. And we understand that this flight has right now Tahavvur Rana, as Shivani was telling us, it's also got members of the IB, the NIA present inside. So these are the details that we've been able to pick up right now. Another update that's coming in ahead of Tahavvur Rana landing in Delhi. The court staff of the special NIA judge has also come to court. I want to bring in Nalini Sharma on this, who's reporting from the Patiala House Court, which houses the NIA court. Nalini, give us those updates. We understand that besides what you've been showing us from morning, there's been additional security barricading and deployment.
Absolutely, Akshita. In fact, the security has been present at the Patiala House Court since the morning when there were reports coming in that Tahavvur Rana is expected to land and the time wasn't confirmed yet. Security has been deployed since then. In fact, to the extent that even the entry of the media persons into the court has been restricted. Everybody's ID card is being checked. So it's high-level security that has been deployed. Multiple SWAT teams are doing rounds of the India Gate Circle where the special NIA court is located. Along with that, the security teams are also, there are senior officials of the Delhi police that are also taking stock of the security situation at Patiala House Court. And all this is happening, Akshita, even when we don't have a confirmation regarding whether Tahavvur Rana will actually be produced physically before the court or not, or will he only be produced virtually. Considering the fact that it's its first appearance, the NIA ideally should produce him physically before the court so that the judge also has an option to interact with him, see his body language, ask him about his health conditions. Because remember, Akshita, in his plea before the US Supreme Court, Tahavvur Rana had specifically detailed all the ailments that he's suffering with, which is why it's also going to be important what his medical checkup reports say, which will also be submitted before the court. Now, whether he'll be produced today or tomorrow is something that we have to wait and watch out for. Although the courts are off on both the days, there is a duty magistrate who's sitting. So when the court's holidays are on, it's usually before the duty magistrate that the production of any arrested person happens, because there's a small 24-hour window within which they have to be produced before the court. So somebody has to be in charge of that, and the duty magistrate takes on that responsibility. Now, the court staff is obviously present. 24 hours is the window that they have to go ahead and produce Tahavvur Rana virtually
or in person at the NIA court. And as we get you those updates as well, Nalini, just stay with us. We can confirm for you that there's a huge security blanket that's currently deployed at the NIA court. It's led to speculation of whether Tahavur Rana will be produced in person in court. But there's also a possibility that this could get pushed tomorrow. It's already 6:15. Flight expected to land at about 6:22 p.m. Then the formalities will kick in of formally arresting Tahavur Rana in the Palam airport. Then he's going to be brought to the NIA headquarters, by which time it doesn't look likely that the court will still be operating unless under special circumstances they choose to do so. But in all, a 24-hour window as per protocol for the NIA to seek his custody and to get custody as well. So we will track those updates. Let me also quickly on this broadcast introduce our guests. We've got Ambassador Ashok Sajjanar joining us on this broadcast to explain what it's really taken diplomatically for this extradition to be made possible. We also have SP Vaid, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. 17 years it's taken for Tahavur Rana to be brought to India, and now you're going to see movement finally 17 years on for one step being taken at least closer towards justice for the 2611 victims. And Ambassador Sajjanar, I just want you to throw light for our viewers on really what it's taken to make this extradition possible for a man who was convicted in the US, serving a prison sentence in the US, acquitted for his role in the 2611 attacks in a US court, and yet being extradited by America on India's request.
Thank you very much, Akshita. I think it speaks volumes about the determination of India, both at the political level as well as at the official, operational and technical level. Because this is a very complex process. You know, I personally handled cases relating to extradition and, submission of all documentation, etc. And I can tell our viewers that it is a very tedious process. It's a very, precise, accurate, exact process. It has to be like that. All documentation, it has to be, vetted and verified. All because, as far as all these 2611 attacks that took place in Mumbai, all the reports would have been in Marathi. Those thousands of pages, each one of them has to be translated into English, has to be diarized, notarized, verified, and submitted. So, it's not an easy process. And as far as the courts are concerned, they are very legally minded, as I guess they should be. But they can really find a fault with any particular aspect, and then it has to go back. All the documentation has to go back and redone, reworked, and brought back. So at the technical level, that is the issue, that is the challenge. But equally at the political level, I think there has to be both in terms, there has to be confidence between the leadership of the two sides, and we have seen that over the last...
Very true, and I think this is clearly, a very telling sign of the leadership and the more diplomacy that we're talking about. Ambassador Sajjanar, I'll request you to stay with me, and my apologies for interrupting, but just that we're getting in also a news break right now, considering we're just about 2-3 minutes away from the flight in which Tahavur Rana is travelling, landing in Delhi. I want to bring in Ankit Kumar. He's the editor of our OSINT setup in India Today. Ankit, I understand you've got the flight details with you. Take it away.
Akshita, no guessing games here. Conclusive evidence that the aircraft carrying the key plotter of 2611 terror attack, Tahavur Hussain Rana, is flying over Delhi's airspace at an altitude of 5,600 feet. So in moments from now, you can expect the key plotter of 2611 to land at the Indian shores. A couple of details. The aircraft was hired from a Vienna-based aircraft charter services. It took off from Miami in the US on Wednesday at 2:15 a.m. local time. It reached Bucharest in Romania at 7 p.m. local. It took a pause of almost 11 hours, and 6:15 a.m. local on Thursday, that was earlier today, it left for New Delhi. As we speak, the aircraft is hovering over the airport. It is now at 4,425 feet. So you can expect the aircraft to land in moments from now, maybe 10 minutes max. So that's the key accused, the key plotter, the Pakistan-born army deserter Canadian citizen Tahawoor Hossain Rana about to land in New Delhi.
So our news break confirmed there, as Ankit has shown us. Right now, the flight path expected to land any time now. We told you 6:22 is when he'll reach Delhi. So you see that aircraft right now hovering over the Palam airport. Once the approval is given, it will be touching down on Indian soil. And Tahawoor Rana, after 17 years, being brought back to face the Indian legal system to ensure justice in the 2611 case. He tried for long to run and hide with last-ditch pleas in the US Supreme Court and whatnot. None of that working right now. And India successfully ensuring the extradition of a wanted terrorist, the plotter, the mastermind of the 2611 terror attacks. And this is a crucial moment, really, in the fight for justice in what is the worst terror attack that India has seen. And I want to bring in also Mr. S.P. Vaid on this broadcast. Sir, thank you very much for your time. Can you just explain to us, sir, many people may question, 17 years on, what can Tahawoor Rana really add to an investigation that's gone on for 17 years?
Akshita, no doubt 17 years have taken a long time, but then it's a huge achievement for the government of India and for agencies of India. Getting a man like him on our soil and face the law for the crime he has committed. You remember the words of President Trump. He said he is an evil man and he should face gallows. He should face the law in India, courts in India. And I personally feel it would not have been possible to get him here unless President Trump was not there. It's because of him and personal equation of our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, with President Trump. Otherwise, I think it was not that easy. And a lot of groundwork takes place, as Ambassador Saab was mentioning. You need to, in a foreign country, getting extradition is a very cumbersome process and it takes years and years. You have to convince their governments. Then he went to the Supreme Court of USA. Ultimately, clearance was given from there also. And it is a huge, I think, achievement for the government of India and our agencies, especially NIA and the IB. And Ministry of External Affairs also must have played a huge role in getting him here. These are a lot of groundwork goes on. It's not an easy thing to get, but he must pay for his crimes. He, in fact, in the earlier show with Gaurav, I was mentioning his co-conspirator, David Coleman Hadley, had named 2 Pakistan Army majors who were working in ISI. My point is that possible for those 2 majors to undertake such a huge mayhem in financial capital of India without the go-ahead?
Is that then the biggest point to watch out for? Okay, let's get to the big news break coming in. The flight carrying Tahawoor Rana has just touched down at the Palam Technical Airport at 6:24 p.m. You can see now that the latest update that's just coming in, the update we've all been waiting for. Tahawoor Hossain Rana has been brought back to India. The flight carrying him has touched down at the Palam Technical Airport at 6:24 p.m. dot. That flight has landed. Now you're going to see the formalities kicking in. But for everyone who's seen what happened and the terror that was unleashed on 26 November 2008 in Mumbai, this is a moment we've been waiting and watching for. For survivors, for victims of 2611, they will feel one step closer to justice. With Tahawoor Rana now being brought back to India, he is now going to face a trial in Indian courts for the very first time in person. But the big breaking news that's coming in is the flight has touched down. If Amit Bharadwaj is with us at the Palam airport, I'm going to take this across to him. Amit, the confirmation coming in that the flight has now landed. It's a matter of time now before Tahawoor Rana in a bulletproof vehicle is brought out of the airport once formalities are taken care of. All right, don't think Amit is with us. I'll take this across to Shivani in the meanwhile. Shivani, now you'll see the formalities kick in, and after that, we understand that Tahabur Rana will be brought into the NIA headquarters. Next step, perhaps, is a formal arrest of this terrorist.
Certainly, Akshita, now the next step will be taken ahead, that the formalities of his coming out of that aircraft, leaving this airport and then coming to the NIA headquarters. So between his journey from the aircraft to the NIA headquarters, there will be a set of formalities that have to be taken into account by the agencies out there. There are some officials of the NIA who are already traveling with Rana on this aircraft. There are some officials who are waiting for him at the airport to place him under arrest, and the medical will be done as a procedure. This is a very high profile and a high sensitive extradition case that has been done together by the United States and India. So all the protocols have to be followed in a very diligent manner, Akshita. So it might take a little more time for him to come out of this aircraft and to be at the NIA headquarters. That's what we are picking up from our sources. And the NIA headquarters is already ready with all the security circles in line for Rana's
details that you've been able to pick up on whether there's a possibility of Tahabur Rana being brought first to the court? Shivani, if you can hear me, is there any update on whether Tahabur Rana will be taken to court first?
Akshita, see, there is a possibility he can be taken to the court or he can be taken to the NIA headquarters. There's no clarity because of the security reasons. The authorities have not disclosed much details of this process that will be taking place out here. There are possibilities that he might be taken to the court first. There are possibilities that he might be brought here at the NIA headquarters. We'll have to wait for more details and more updates as it happens. But the breaking news is that Tahabur Rana is on Indian soil, and very soon he'll be placed under arrest by the NIA officials to take this investigation ahead.
Okay, so big breaking news that's coming in is that Tahabur Rana's flight has landed. The man, the 2611 terrorist, the plotter, the mastermind is now on Indian soil, will face trial by Indian courts, will pay the price for the 2611 terror attacks. Let's be very clear. Tahabur Rana has blood on his hands. He has the blood of 166 people who died in those terror attacks on his hands, and he's finally going to be paying the price. It's been a long wait, Gaurav, for this moment. You've tracked the trial that took place in Chicago back in 2011. You, of course, were there during the 2611 terror attacks as well. It's been a long wait, but now, of course, the focus will be on ensuring speedy justice. We have a mountain of evidence, as you pointed out, but do you think, Gaurav, the biggest nail in the coffin as far as this investigation is going to be who in the Pakistan Army, who in the Pakistan ISI was involved?
You know, Akshita, this is the biggest catch for India when it comes to 2611 Mumbai terror attacks, one of the biggest terror attacks on India. Do keep in mind, this man, Tahabur Hussain Rana, was aware of that entire terror plot from 2005 itself. So 2005, he and David Coleman Headley started plotting various sites in India. According to National Investigation Agency, the NIA, they said that these people were tasked by Hafiz Mohammad Saeed and Major Iqbal and others of Pakistan Army to recce various places in India, not just the Taj Hotel or the Oberoi Hotel or the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus or plant a bomb in a taxi. Across the India, they had to inflict 1,000 cuts on India. So they carried out recce in various cities. He knew the entire plot. He had cultivated people in India from 2005 onwards. He was keeping in touch with people in India. He set up an office in Mumbai for David Coleman Headley. Some elements in India provided funds for David Coleman Headley to move around, and those were arranged by Tahabur Hussain Rana. He had a network in India, as did David Coleman Headley. He hired people in Cochin. So there are many aspects of this investigation. This is the first time that Indian agencies would be interrogating him directly on our soil and in detail, not through FBI, not through second source information. Authentic information will come in about the source, the enemy across the border and the enemy within, as one of the investigators told me. And all of that will be very crucial, Akshita.
Yeah. The first agency that will be interrogating him is the NIA. And I'm standing here at the NIA headquarters where there's huge security, entire area completely barricaded off. I want to bring in Amit Bharadwaj quickly for an update from the Palam Technical Airport, where Tahavur Rana is currently. We understand formalities could take a bit of time, but Amit, get us a sense of what's happening there. I'm sure security has been ramped up, and we're expecting that Rana be brought out in a bulletproof vehicle.
Right, Akshata. The security at the Palam airport facility has been tight since morning itself, and the Delhi police team, the SWAT team, the para forces, everyone was lined up. Each and every team which has to work in tandem have been on the standby since morning, 7 a.m. to be specific. For Delhi Police's, Nyayik Suraksha Vahini, the special wing which has been given the task of transporting Tahavur Rana from the airport facility to the NIA facility, from where the third phase of today's work will be done. But for our viewers' understanding, the flight has just landed at the airport facility in Palam, and after this, the moments after he will land on the Indian soil, NIA officials will put him under arrest. So that will be the first and topmost priority of the NIA to formally arrest him. So far, he has been extradited from US by the NIA team, but the moment he lands, this team lands on the Indian soil, the NIA team will be putting Tahavur Rana under arrest. And after that, a lot of paperwork also needs to be done. So once this process is over, second part of the entire mission will begin. That is safe, smooth and secure transportation of Tahavur Rana to the NIA facility. And as you were also mentioning, it will be done in a bulletproof armored vehicle of the Delhi police, and it will be guarded by the SWAT commandos, the CAPF personnel, and the entire route has been already secured by the Delhi police for this seamless and secure, safe transportation of Rana.
And that's evident here also where I am at the NIA headquarters. Huge security, nobody being allowed past the barricades. The entire road stretch, usually bustling with activity, completely closed off and blocked right now. So no civilian movement allowed here. Even for me to come in here, I had to show my ID cards through multiple layers of barricades to be able to enter right up till this point, right outside the NIA headquarters. Where will Tahavur Rana be spending the night? In all likelihood, and again, the reason we're speculating is because there are no concrete details being given by agencies right now for obvious reasons, for security reasons. But we are being told that there's a possibility that Tahavur Rana could spend his first night in India right behind me in the NIA headquarters, which also has holding cells. Now, one of these cells has been completely sanitized. We're told only a handful of officials will be allowed anywhere close to, in fact, that particular holding cell. And so there's a possibility that Tahavur Rana could be held in this particular NIA headquarters. What that will also indicate is that the NIA wants to hit the ground running. They don't want to waste any time. 17 years it's taken for Tahavur Rana to be brought here. So immediately they're going to start his interrogation, try to weed out as many details as they can. There is one challenge, however, which is that Tahavur Rana's health is not at its best. Reportedly, he's suffering from a slew of illnesses. So perhaps he tried to use that as an excuse to try and evade authorities also. And that's a crucial point, Nalini. The fact that now Tahavur Rana, now that he's reached India, will be formally arrested by NIA. But there will be a medical test that he has to undergo. He has to be produced before a judge for formal custody before the questioning interrogation can begin.
Absolutely, Akshata. There is a process in place that needs to be followed before Tahavur Rana can be officially interrogated by the NIA. And that process essentially involves, now that he has landed in Delhi, an arrest memo will be served to him when he will officially be placed under arrest. Along with that, the charges that he is going to face, for which he is officially being arrested by the NIA, are also going to be explained to him at the time of the arrest. So all of those formalities will take place, whether that will take place at the airport itself so that he can officially be under arrest when he is being transported from the airport to the NIA headquarters, or will they wait to reach the NIA headquarters, which is a far more secure location, to complete all the formalities, something that we are waiting and watching for. Along with that, there's also going to be a medical test. There are two reasons for why this medical test is important, Akshata. Number one, because Tahavur Rana himself had claimed that he is suffering through several ailments, because of which his life might be at risk if he is extradited back to India. And number two is because his health report will have to be submitted before the special NIA court when he is produced, because the judge is going to ask what his medical condition is like, what the doctors have advised, because Tahavur Rana might be trying to get some medical leniency, on the basis of which he might ask for some kind of leniency. We'll have to wait and see that on the basis of his health. But his medical report will have to be submitted before the court, on the basis of which the court is going to decide whether or not any leniency needs to be given to him, or whether he needs to be shifted to a hospital to ensure that his health is not at risk at any point. So all of those aspects will be taken into consideration by the court itself after the health report has been submitted, and after these formalities are done is when NIA will be asking officially for the custody of Tahavur Rana. Now, the way that the case is been progressing, we are expecting for the NIA to seek the maximum amount of custody, but as to whether or not that will be actually granted by the court is something that we will know only once the proceedings before the NIA court are over and the order has been pronounced.
And very clearly, the evidence against him, Nalini, and you've gone through some of the evidence that's been provided in that court in the United States of America and all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. The agencies have a mountain of evidence against him, against his direct involvement in 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, in which Americans also lost their lives. So it's not just Indians who were killed. Jewish people were killed, Americans were killed, Europeans were killed. This man is an international terrorist who India is finally bringing to justice. That's an important point that's coming out, Nalini.
Absolutely, Gaurav. In fact, considering all the evidence that the Indian agencies have gathered, and it's not just the NIA, remember there have been multiple agencies that have been working on the 26/11 attack case, including the Mumbai police itself. And considering that the trial court records and the case files have officially been called from Mumbai and have been sent to Delhi now, they've even been received by the court staff, means that all of the aspects will be looked into regarding the larger conspiracy that was hatched by David Headley and Tahavur Rana related to the 26/11 attacks. But yes, you're completely right. All of the evidence will be considered by the court and will be put forth by the NIA. And along with that, Tahavur Rana will also be confronted with this kind of evidence that has been gathered by the Indian agencies. Along with that, what we are also given to understand is that the NIA, in case it gets Tahavur Rana's custody, there will be interrogation that will be conducted when he will be confronted with this kind of evidence, and it remains to be seen what details then come out into the public domain after Tahavur Rana's interrogation is done. Because like we've been telling our viewers, there were several people who were present in India, because Tahavur Rana himself was in Chicago. But when David Headley was in India, there were several people in India who were on behalf of Tahavur Rana actually extending the logistical and financial support to David Headley to carry on his activities while he was in Mumbai. So all of those aspects will be looked into as to whether or not any new names emerge is going to be an interesting aspect to watch out for in accordance with the interrogation that the NIA is doing of Tahavur Rana. Along with that, we'll also see whether or not Tahavur Rana will be getting his own lawyer, because the court is going to ask him that once he is produced, whether or not he'll be getting his own lawyer or whether he'll be given a court-appointed lawyer in the interest of a fair trial and a fair hearing, and ensuring that Tahavur Rana is given the tools that he needs to make out a defense for himself in the interest of a fair trial. So all of those aspects remain to be seen. Most importantly, if Tahavur Rana is produced before the court today, and it's already close to 7 p.m. now that we are discussing this, in case he is produced before the court today, we can expect further proceedings to go on later into the night, because the court will have to hear the arguments, then they'll have to reserve the judgment, and the judge will take certain amount of time to decide what to do with the remand application that will be submitted by the NIA. So the pronouncement of the order can only happen later in the day, and the judge will have to pronounce the order today, because it needs to be decided as to whether or not Tahavur Rana should be in NIA's custody or not, and if so, for how many days. So all of those aspects are something that we will expect only in the coming few hours, once Tahavur Rana is brought to the NIA office, and then once it's decided whether he'll be produced before the court physically or virtually.
Very, very important day for our country today in India's quest for justice in the war on Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Because remember, this Pakistan Army doctor, Tahavur Hussain Rana, he may have been a deserter, he may have been living in Canada, but it was on the instructions of his masters in Pakistan that action was being carried out. And those are live images, and I want to put them out full screen for you. Live images that are coming out from the NIA headquarters, where you see police being lined up and in numbers. This is the NIA court in Delhi. So this is where Tahavvur Hussain Rana is likely to be produced. Due process of law will be followed. Watch these images carefully. The police, both women personnel and the male personnel, they're lining up on the either side of that axis. Somebody may try to bump him off, and the Pakistanis could well do that. Why? They don't want the truth about Pakistan's involvement in 2611 to come out in public domain. And Nalini, that is why I'm told that this access is blocked for everybody else. The NIA vehicles will just come here. This entire area has been sanitized. Only the police personnel and court officers will be there, so that it's in total, isolation. This man is produced before the law. This is a case the world will be watching, Nalini.
Well, Gaurav, for the understanding of our viewers, usually all cases that the NIA is investigating and all cases ongoing before the special NIA court are all in-camera proceedings, especially because they have something to do with national security or some sensitive issues, which is why they're all in-camera proceedings. What that means is that no media or anybody who's not directly related with the case is allowed to be in the court during the proceedings, and only selective, limited details regarding the proceedings in the case are released into the public domain, sometimes only the final order, without giving any insights into what kind of arguments were made before the court. The reason, like I told you, is because it's a sensitive matter that the NIA court usually deals with, because it relates to NIA investigations. In the
Stay
case
with
of
me for a
Tahavvur
moment. We're
Rana,
getting the first statement of the National Investigation Agency. The NIA has confirmed they have secured successful extradition of 2611 Mumbai terror attacks mastermind Tahavvur Hussain Rana from the United States of America. It's an official statement that has just come in, and it's such a huge day today for India in this war on Pakistan state-sponsored terror. The NIA in a statement has said the National Investigation Agency on Thursday successfully secured the extradition of Tahavvur Hussain Rana, the mastermind of the deadly 2611 Mumbai terror attacks, after years of sustained and concerted effort to bring the key conspirator, this word is very important, key conspirator behind the 2008 mayhem, to bring him to justice. Now, Tahavvur Hussain Rana was being held in judicial custody in the United States of America, pursuant to proceedings initiated under the India-US extradition treaty for his extradition. This extradition finally came through after Rana exhausted all legal avenues to stay this move of not being sent to India. The District Court for the Central District of California had ordered his extradition on the 16th of May. 16th of May 2023. Tahavvur Hussain Rana, it was ordered that he'll be extradited to India. Rana then filed multiple litigations in the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, all of which were rejected. He subsequently filed a writ, now including 2 habeas corpus petitions and an emergency application before the US Supreme Court, which were also denied. The extradition proceedings were initiated between 2 countries after India eventually secured a surrender warrant for the wanted terrorists from the US government with the active assistance, and this is a very important terminology being used by the NIA, with the active assistance of the US Department of Justice, the US Sky Marshal. The NIA worked closely with other Indian intelligence agencies and the NSG, that's the National Security Guard Commandos, through this entire extradition process, which also saw India's Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Home Affairs coordinating with other relevant authorities in the United States of America to take the matter to a successful conclusion. Rana is accused of conspiring with David Coleman Headley, alias Dawood Gilani. That's right. Now, this Caucasian-looking Pakistani-American was actually a Pakistani-born. So his mother was American, his father was Pakistani, his name was Dawood Gilani, incidentally said to be a distant relative of a former Pakistani Prime Minister too. So he was a close associate of Gilani. Let me now quote that statement again. And operatives of designated terrorist organizations Lashkar-e-Taiba and Huji, which is Harkatul Jihad-e-Islami, along with other Pakistan-based co-conspirators to carry out the devastating terror attacks in Mumbai in 2008. A total of 166 persons were killed and 238 injured in that deadly terror attack. Both Lashkar-e-Taiba and Huji, which is Harkatul Jihad-e-Islami, have been declared as terrorist organizations by the Government of India under the UAPA, or the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. It's a very detailed statement that's been put out by the National Investigation Agency, because do understand, it's a very big day for India. In a moment from now, we'll also play out a statement made by then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, who was very unhappy and upset at that time when Rana had been let off in that FBI case in Chicago. But India relentlessly pursued this case, and especially after Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, he made it a point that Government of India will pursue this 2019 onwards. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, he's pursued it relentlessly through government agencies, and now finally that effort is paying off. And I want to quickly bring in Ashutosh Mishra, who joins us from Tihar prison for more on this. He's of course outside the Tihar prison. And Ashutosh, I believe there's a special cell that's been prepared. There are those barracks where high-profile terrorists and under trials are kept. That is where this terrorist is also likely to be lodged in case he's given judicial custody. But if he's in police custody or NIA custody, he remains at NIA headquarters.
That's one of the most safest, secure cell that the NIA has within its headquarters, which is guarded by the central forces. And yes, you rightly said that after the investigation is completed, after the NIA is able to file a charge sheet, and all the agencies get the desired information and the intelligence input that could be potentially used by them to avoid further such kind of, Pakistani these attacks. Clearly, we know that there is a high protective cells. The barracks are made within, and it was India Today to tell you that a couple of days ago we had this information that not only Tihar jail in Delhi, but also Arthur Road in Mumbai, Yarwada jail in Pune, all these jail authorities were told to prepare a high security barracks, because as we know that in terms of investigations, the most wanted terrorists that India has captured, India has got extradition, but subsequently when it comes to the intelligence inputs, what is happening in Pakistan, how he has been cooperating with different agencies, and so far clearly who all have been backing up, and whether there was even long-term plan by these the Pakistan's ISI and other such terror organization, that will be very significant information and the intelligence input that our agencies would be able to gather during the questioning, the interrogation, and that makes him a really high valuable asset for these agencies.
Yes.
So his security will be paramount, and that is also the justice and the nature of India, that we even will give him the legal aid. He will be protected, he will exercise all his legal rights, and then NIA will make sure that all these strong case that we have against Tahabur Rana, he will be convicted by the court, and then the court will announce his final fate. And till his last breath is for sure that here right behind me in Tihar jail, Tahabur Rana will, take his last breath. Even if it is a capital punishment, or he will be behind the bar for his lifetime, but all his fate will be written off here right behind me at the Tihar jail, Gaurav.
Oh, absolutely. And Shivani, Nalini and Akshita are with me on this broadcast. And Akshita, you were speaking to survivors. You've been speaking to officers in the NIA. What's also extremely crucial, the man who heads the National Investigation Agency today, Sadanand Date, he was the additional commissioner of Mumbai Police during 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. And when I'd interviewed him, after that operation at Kama Hospital, it was crucial. So these Mumbai police officers, Akshita, they didn't have adequate weapons. They didn't even know the kind of attack that was taking place. They thought it was a gang war initially, or some gangsters had opened fire at Cafe Leopold. But these terrorists had assault rifles, and the way they opened fire, they attacked the police through a hail of bullets. The police fired back, trying to save people who were at that Kama Hospital, nurses, patients, their relatives. That officer today heads the NIA. So he knows what Tahabur Hussain Rana and these Pakistani terrorists did. He knows it like the back of his hand. He braved it, Akshita.
Very, very true, Gaurav. And for many of these officers, it's very personal that Tahavur Rana has been brought back, because this is the man who plotted, who masterminded, who helped conduct recce's, who himself was in Mumbai just before the attack, who stayed in the Taj Hotel. So for them, it's personal. Even for them, they've been seeking justice for the last many years. And the ones who are involved in this investigation are so many who saw what unfolded in 26/11, who were part of the operation as well. So for them also to ensure that more details emerge of how this entire mission was planned and how these terrorists who planned this entire terror attack over years, what kind of help and support they got, particularly from Pakistan. The fact that, you have an Abu Jundal, you have an Ajmal Kasab, you have a Tahavur Rana, these people who have been nailed essentially in the 26/11 terror attacks, that's 3. There are so many others, Gaurav, who were involved, in names of which we've been displaying on our screens constantly. The NIA will be looking at digging out those details. So the LET commanders, the ISI moles, all of them who were involved in these terror attacks. 17 years on, it's extremely crucial, Gaurav, for India to nail the Pakistan role, which is why right now you have statements coming in from Pakistan saying we have nothing to do with Tahavur Rana. For obvious reasons, they'll try to distance themselves because he's going to sing in custody. The officials will ensure that he sings in custody, names and shames every single terrorist, every single officer, supposed officer in the Pakistan Army and ISI who was involved in these terror attacks.
And there's one thing that our viewers, they know about this, but I just want to remind them, Shivani, look at these Pakistani terrorists and terrorist supporters. When he was in America, when he was safely back in Chicago, when he was watching those images of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, as all of us were worried and shocked at the terror unfolding, he was celebrating. He was celebrating his success. 17 years later, when he was being sent to India, he was crying. He said, I'm a Muslim of Pakistani origin. I'm ex-army captain of Pakistan Army. By sending me to India, you'll be signing my death warrant. So this man tried every trick under the trade, every trick to avoid being sent to India. And yet, he's lost. India has won. Shivani.
Gaurav, Tahavur Rana tried all tricks. He tried all kind of acts to evade this, to escape this extradition. But ultimately, he has to face justice in India. He is in India. The day the terror attacks happened, he was celebrating in America. But today, Indians are celebrating this moment when the perpetrator is on the Indian soil. And very laughable excuses that have been made by Tahavur Rana that India, he would not be safe in India because India is not safe for minorities. So all these excuses he made to avoid coming to India, to avoid this extradition. But remember, there was a pressure and a persuasion effort going on from the NIA and on the diplomatic levels too since very long. And the announcements about this extradition came when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in the United States. He was meeting President Donald Trump. So that was a big victory for India. And now Tahavur Rana is in India. He'll be facing law here. And he has conspired this massacre that happened in Mumbai, where 166 people lost their lives. And this is when he was there to recce. He was talking to Headley. He was conspiring, planning this particular attack. All kind of fake documents that were provided to these terrorists who killed people in the hotels and the cafes in Mumbai. And now he is in India. The investigation soon will begin and bring justice to these people who were involved in this particular attack. And this has once again exposed Pakistan, and it will further expose Pakistan.
You know, India today has the finest team of reporters on ground. I have Nalini Sharma standing by at the NIA court. Shivani, Akshita, all our colleagues, they've been tracking the story not just through the day today, but through several days. And we will get you much more on this big story as India's most wanted terrorist for the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Tahavur Hussain Rana of the Pakistan Army earlier, living in America and Canada, is finally brought to India to face justice.